I think I've said this before, but I really like that tie.
Thank you.
It's feltiness of it.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool.
I cannot remember how I acquired this. Beautiful.
Hello.
Rashomon.
Is that how you say it?
That's how I'm saying it.
Cool.
Claire, where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was in a book that I was reading, and someone said something about it. The Rashomon effect.
Oh.
And I wondered what that was, and then it turned out it was this film that apparently is really famous that I'd just never heard of.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
And so I thought I'd suggest it for us to watch.
Okay.
And that was all I knew about it before we watched it.
Good stuff.
So what did we all think?
Acceptable reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did we think?
Yeah. What did everyone think of it?
I liked it. It was a good film. It was challenging. It was uncomfortable and heavy, but I liked it. I thought it was really well made.
Okay.
What about you guys?
I don't think I cared for it.
Okay. But you're not sure?
Meh. If I'm to go by my feelings during the film and after the film, I didn't like it.
Okay.
But before the film, you
Before
loved
the
it.
film, I was against it from the beginning. Which may have prejudiced me.
Okay.
Why were you against it from the beginning?
Because it's 1950s, black and white, Japanese film. Not my cup of tea. And I was like, this is going to be really boring. Maybe it'll be great, but I'm sure it's going to be boring. And then I was like, I'm bored. A couple of bits I was like, okay, this is interesting. Didn't expect this, right? Okay, interesting. I'm bored.
Yep, okay. Fernando?
I enjoyed the interesting twists, or at least to me it was interesting to see that it was not just about one version but multiple versions of the truth, and I thought that was cool. I now remember that I did take notes this time. I was like, this is so interesting, but I have them in Vim in my computer and so I cannot access them.
Alas.
I'm remembering some of my notes. The first one was, everyone is so fit. The second one was,
running up hills at like blistering speed.
Doing alright, weren't they?
You could keep
the second one was, it's interesting that the woman feels sorry for her husband, says that it must have been hard for him when it was probably hard for her to be raped. I don't know. Those are the only two notes that I remember.
Okay. Interesting. And Claire?
Yeah. It was very intense.
Yeah.
I did feel quite beaten up by it.
Sure.
I don't know if I enjoyed watching it. Yeah, I think like Laura, I was a bit bored at points just because things are a bit slower and it's like, right, okay, they're still walking, can they just get to the place now?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was worth watching. I think it was interesting in
Yeah,
parts.
I would say that as well. It was worth watching. It was a well-made film. Not for me, but I mean, not my typical.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm tired.
But yeah, I did get frustrated a lot of the times.
Yeah. They took a long time to say things that I felt like I got the gist of what they were saying, and for some reason I just wanted them to hurry up with it.
But it was about what they weren't saying, right?
Oh my god.
It was about what they said with their eyes and with the way they acted and the way the way it was all constructed. Laura isn't a fan of German impressionism, so perhaps it's to be expected that she would. I just, like, 3 times watching this, I thought, oh, that's an interesting camera angle, or this has been going on for a long time, and I just had your voice in my head saying, I'm just not a fan of the whole German impressionism thing. And this was you said that about Nosferatu, just sort of all of this like nothing happening for a minute or so, and it all being in moody black and white. But I was just loving it. It was good.
Yeah, I can imagine you liking it. That would be. If I had to put money on one person around this table who was going to enjoy that,
right,
it would have been
Same.
And yet, I don't think I'd have picked it based on what I imagine the synopsis or the discussion around it might have been. It was the actual story, like the number of characters and stuff, was so stripped down and minimal. And I thought it was really good, but it was not necessarily something that would have appealed to me. This sort of gruesome crime thing. But yeah, I thought
What if this was just a movie that it's so epic that it had to be restored by the Academy of Film of Tokyo, Japan?
Then I'd have watched it for sure.
Was it epic?
No.
No.
It was epic in the sense of being totally wicked.
For the tape, Michael tried to do the clicky finger thing that Ali G used to do.
They know
people
what I
in the
was
90s
doing.
used to do. But you might not have picked up on it because the mics aren't that good, are they?
I just did it perfectly.
Yeah, sure. I liked it. I thought it was promising when I downloaded the version. It had two different types of subtitles provided by two different classic film academies. I thought this is a special film somehow, isn't it? This is either like an art lover's film that I'm not going to get anything out of, or it's going to be somehow amazing. I think it might have been a bit of both. So what thoughts did you have watching it, Laura?
Let me think. Well, so you won't like this.
Oh.
But I cheated a bit because I was curious. That when I saw that the chapter titles, because I clicked on it, gave the bandit thing.
Oh.
I sort of scrolled along to see what they were.
I see.
So I was intrigued throughout to see the wife. And then at the end, the baby. I was like, what baby? And then at the end, when it came to it, I was still like, what baby? Where did that baby come from?
Yeah.
Why is there a baby now?
Oh, so I didn't look at the chapter titles. What they were named after characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
That's for each of their stories.
Yeah, it was for each of their stories.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, and so there would have been 4 different
something like that.
chapters, and then the one that's just the baby. Which for us watching it was very different, but when you put it like that, it's like that was the 5th story or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. So you jumped ahead because you wanted to know who the baby was?
I didn't jump ahead. I just knew that at some point there would be a baby.
Oh, you flicked through the names of the chapters?
Yeah, just the names of the chapters.
Okay.
I didn't skip through the film.
Yeah, well, that's not even.
I
That's
don't
nothing,
object
is
to
it?
that.
Okay.
That's all right. Why are you away with that one?
In a way, that's like reading a book and knowing how big the book is because you've got the pages in your hand. Yeah, that's curious as an extra.
Yeah, the baby was very out of the blue. Even if I'd known there was going to be a baby, not sure I'd have predicted it would have turned up like that.
I was kind of like, he's adopting the baby. That's nice.
So, good. I'm glad we
That's
don't
great.
bother with child services or anything like that. We'll just skip straight to 8th child. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
It was in the old.
You want the baby? You can have the baby.
It's not my baby.
I suppose we should be grateful the baby didn't get brought up by the priest in some religious context that it didn't have a choice about.
Yeah, we are. I'm
It's
sure the
been
woodcutter will be.
Brought up in a wood cutting context that doesn't have any choice about.
That's true.
Yeah, but at least you're not want to be indoctrinated. Maybe it will be about wood cutting.
Wood
but-
cutting.
We brainwashed. So I guess if I had a moment like that, it was the opening credits where they told you who the main characters were. It's like, yeah, what did it say? Tajimaru, the bandit, and then whoever, the lady, and whoever, the samurai. I was like, oh, it's one of those. Because I had just seen like when I looked it up to download the film, it had said something like an unsolved crime, a rape and a murder, but the different witnesses have different stories, and I immediately thought this is a modern day thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, isn't that interesting? I've watched 2 films by Akira Kurosawa before, and they were both about samurai and stuff. But this one's going to be set in the modern day, and then I turn it on, there's this huge broken shrine, and it says, The Samurai, played by... Cool, it's another samurai film. I'm in.
Cool. So, we heard lots of different versions
Yeah.
of the same story.
Yes, we did.
Are any of them true? Is there any truth in any of them?
I spent a long time trying to... But I think they wanted us to play the detective and try to work out what really happened. Does anyone have any thoughts?
Fernando has
The
thought.
4 different versions. Which one was true?
Well, as in, none of them are 100% true.
Okay.
But I thought that I would believe a combination of the bandit and the wife. Because they somehow they had some coincidences, and perhaps it was not a perfect description of the same event. But I thought, I guess these two somehow coincide. It must be true.
Oh, so what parts coincided between the bandit's story and the wife's story?
That the bandit said that the wife asked him to kill him. Well, I guess not really to kill him, but to fight him. Yes.
Yeah, said one of you.
And then I think the wife also said that somebody
asked them to duel. Yeah.
The wife said.
Oh, the wife asked them. Wait, yes, I think the wife asked them to duel, and then the bandit also said that it was her who asked him to kill.
What did the woodcutter say again?
That. What did he say?
Oh no, I don't remember if the wife actually asked him to duel. I'm remembering the woodcutter's version.
Yeah, so in the
What did the wife
woodcutter's
say? Oh yeah,
version, she
She
got
does
mad at
ask
them, called
yeah.
them wimps, and says, "You have to fight for me with the sword."
Yes, that was the first one and the final one, that was the only one where she suddenly took control somehow.
Yeah.
And she was playing them off against each other in this really odd, curious way. But we did have in the first one even, she was sort of weeping and she said that she felt ashamed and said, one of you has to die because... And that resulted in them dueling. Which even the third one, which was the husband speaking through the medium, she did the same thing, but it was more she fell in love with the bandit and demanded that he kill her husband.
I believe that one.
Okay, seems legit.
The dead don't lie.
Also, it ties in with the bandit's version where she stopped fighting and just dropped her knife and then swooned as he.
The bandit's version, yeah.
And obviously fell in love with the man that was trying to rape her, as happens.
So did you see that as the bandit's fantasy or boast?
Yeah. So that for me. Watching the bandit story, at some point I've got a note that says, how do we know this knife fight happened? And then that kiss happened and it was like, alright, so this is all made up.
Yeah. That was the bandit's version. Yeah. I went the other way with that. I think that the bandit's version is one of the most likely.
Oh, so you're with Fernando on this.
I'm actually not aware I am.
Well, Fernando said that the bandit, as backed up by the wife, is the one to go for. I'm saying that the bandit is the most likely, partly because it's backed up by the woodcutter. So, one thing that we don't quite get, well, both of those feature her well. So, yeah, we saw this thing where she drops the knife and sort of embraces That's such an uncomfortable watch. The whole thing was a very uncomfortable watch. But when I was watching that, because we had several bits where the camera was sort of staring directly at her, and you could see her calculating. And I think, for example, when the bandit first brought her to see her husband tied up, she didn't start wailing or start run away or anything. She just stood there, completely frozen, thinking. And I think she decided that the best way she could save her own life and maybe her husband's life was to try to play the bandit off. And indeed, she managed to convince him that she had, like, somehow fallen for him, and therefore convinced him to untie her husband and give him a sword when her husband was a trained samurai. And if she had just the way it kept focusing right on her face, and there was such sort of intelligence and thought in her face, it didn't seem to me like the bandit's crazy fantasy. It seemed like her strategy to try and get them to try and give her husband a chance to fight, and then when they were fighting, she ran away in the bandit's version, which again was probably the most rational thing for her to do, and I really liked that, and that sort of was backed up by the woodcutter, right, who had it definitely had that scene a little different, with her calling them both weak and denouncing them, but still basically inciting them to fight against each other. And I thought that was
Yeah, you might be onto something there.
Thank you. So that was my thought with her dropping the knife and embracing him.
Okay.
But that wasn't as strong as the third one, the one through the medium, where she completely fell in love with him. But this was the terribly upset husband's story, if we indeed believe that he communicated through a medium, which I'm also feel like I could believe. Yeah.
I think are we supposed to believe that? Are we an audience in the 50s, we believe that could happen, or?
I don't know.
No, I think it's just part of Japan's mythology.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm saying.
I wonder.
You said it with such confidence, and how you...
Even if we don't believe that could happen in the real world, we could maybe watch this and believe that...
They believed it. What?
Oh, we could, so that's one thing. We could believe that they believed it, and that's important. And the other thing is we could believe that this is a world of fantasy where you can communicate with the dead genuinely. And it had some features in there that sort of backed up a couple of other stories, which I found quite interesting. So there's a part of me does want to believe that, but I don't know. Not that was the most truthful story, but that is what maybe the spirit of this husband who had sort of lost his senses a bit and gone mad with strange jealousy or whatever it was.
Were there more fantasy elements than a medium?
Sorry?
Were there more fantasy elements than a medium? Or things that might have belonged in a fantasy tale? Magic baby?
Magic baby?
Magic baby? Magic amulet?
By someone.
Yeah, I seem to be saying it had been abandoned there. The amulet?
The amulet that they left with the baby to protect it.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I think that people in both China and Japan have little amulets for luck, charms for luck.
Vanishing dagger?
No, the woodcutter took it.
I don't think he did.
Didn't he almost confess to having stolen the dagger?
Yeah, I think so.
Did he?
He so nearly did.
He looked very guilty about it.
He looked shifty through the whole thing.
Yeah, no wonder, because he was hiding the dagger.
the scavenger was demanding of the woodcutter and demanded, "Oh, where did that knife disappear to, eh?" And he just said something like, "I didn't want to get involved."
Exactly.
Stop talking. So I think he's pinched it.
No.
No. Oh, what happened? It
Vanishing knife.
Vanishing knife.
I mean,
why not?
Even if he did not seal it, it could have just been lost in the woods.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard for it to go missing, would it? But the woodcutter.
I don't think it existed. I don't think we only see that dagger fight between her and him in the bandit's version, and the bandit didn't collect the knife at the end. If he'd had a massive fight with someone who'd used this encrusted dagger, surely you'd go and find the dagger afterwards. And no one else mentioned it. All the other stories started after that, after the fight. And
didn't the wife's story have the dagger in it?
Maybe.
Yeah, the wife said that she had killed her husband with it.
No, the wife said that she fainted and the husband killed himself with it.
Yeah.
Wasn't she holding the knife and she fainted?
Oh.
The husband was tied up. He had his hands behind his back, didn't he?
Was he?
I thought the idea... Oh, no, she had cut him free with the knife, hadn't she? And he was sitting there motionless. But yeah, she was holding the knife and she fainted. And when she woke up, he had the knife through him and he was dead. I took that as her admitting to having killed him during that. But she doesn't say, does she? Maybe it was the husband killed himself. And that is not what the husband was saying through the medium. He didn't seem to be a fan of having died.
So we have a knife. Let's get the murder scene. The vanishing knife, the magical amulet comes in later, but it's important. Sword. Anything else?
These are your supernatural elements.
No, these are I'm laying out the crime scene.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, we got
the important objects of the film.
Yeah. They made a big deal of her hat.
Hat.
Left behind.
Yep.
And his trampled hat. But that only came up once, didn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, what else did the woodcutter say he found in the beginning?
There was something else.
Yeah, there was something else.
Because he should have been the reliable witness, shouldn't he? It should have been, like, he had nothing to do with any of it.
Yeah.
If he had seen it, you should have been able to just trust him. But clearly not.
And that's why I mostly do trust him. So
the second last chapter title is something like "The Truth at Last?" question mark.
Oh. No. Yeah, so he did at least present it as none of those three are quite right. Here's what really happened, but yeah, I don't know as well. One thing that made it more believable was it was so much dirtier, the final version, the woodcutter's version. The way they were fighting was not like people fight in a film. It was like amateurs fight. And that the way I think he had, even if he thought he was telling the truth, I think he'd overdone it in his head. The way that the wife absolutely scolded them, was laughing in this manic way, was really over the top, and they had done a lot of subtle acting through the film, so I don't think it was just bad acting. And the way one of them charged at each other, and they both got spooked and just ran to completely opposite ends of the cops. That I couldn't quite believe it of a samurai and a bandit, but definitely the feeling that it wasn't a great choreographed fight. It was a madman and someone who'd been tied up for hours, both fighting to the death in this terrified way. I thought that was an interesting one. That seemed to me to make it more believable. And I think the wife and the husband, the second and third stories, I think they were also true in an analogous sense. I don't think they were literally true, but I think there was a lot of truth in them, and I think there was a lot that we could take from them.
So symbolism.
It's the semiotics spoon.
Let's just spoon up some semiotics.
Yeah.
Coming in. Sorry. I'm going to stop playing this now. Why would you put a big spoon like this on the table?
I'm sorry about that. In her story, she felt that she had killed him or something like that, but she hadn't meant to. And I think that was her, we must say, misguided shame at having been with another man, which we saw in the first one, and in some really weird way in the last one, we saw her, how she felt ashamed and felt as if she was causing her husband to suffer. And I don't think she then killed him, but I think especially after she played this gambit maybe to get the bandits to fight with her husband, which resulted in her husband's death, maybe she felt like she had killed him. And so maybe she constructed this story which involved her literally killing him. So I thought there was a lot of truth in that, and it told us a lot about her. And the third one, it told us a lot about him, about the husband, about his just as misguided. I think because this was backed up by one of them. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so in the last three, all apart from the bandits story, had her husband finally hating her and staring at her with anger or whatever. And I think that was revealed most firmly in his testimony through the medium. And so I thought those two were quite interesting ways to explore their feelings, even if they didn't tell us much about what really happened.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Cool.
This is quite a well-crafted film.
It was great, wasn't it? I liked it at the time, but I'm feeling like a lot of this is falling into place as I'm talking about it.
Yeah, you definitely got a lot more out of this than
Really? Okay.
New theory.
Right.
The bandit and the lady are the parents of the baby, and the woodcutter is also involved. I really want to tie up this loose end of this baby.
Can I offer something to tie the loose end of the baby?
Yes.
I do want to know.
And this is maybe a thread you can pull on, I'm not quite sure. But throughout the film, everything's been told through these three storytellers. We've had the woodcutter, the priest, and who I'm calling the scavenger. So
like
It's called the commoner. Isn't it?
Yeah.
commoner, okay, right, the commoner. So the commoner is very hard-hearted and cynical, and is not willing to engage with anything.
Yeah.
Whereas the woodcutter and the priest I don't know whether they were supposed to have met just that day or met just because of this crime that had happened, but they seem to have some real connection, and they both wanted to see the best in the world.
They
were
met
both
because of the rain.
because of
The rain.
Oh yeah, okay,
No,
but
they
no, they
before.
both had some connection to this story, didn't they? The woodcutter had seen the murder, and I think
Yes.
he had seen the woman
In
earlier
my
in
brain,
the
it's
day.
because they had to shelter from the rain.
The woman went to the priest's convent or whatever
Yeah.
when she ran away. So I take it the priest brought her to the place.
Yeah.
So I think we saw the woodcutter and the priest sitting together in the background during some of the testimony, didn't
Which
we?
is a terrible way to take police statements, just for the record, with an audience of other witnesses.
Oh, there's a thought. Was it the police statements? I thought it was a trial.
I thought it was a trial as well.
It seemed very rapid. It was like 3 days after it happened, was it not?
I don't know if that's how they did it in those days.
And they still had the bandit was still tied up by the person that caught him.
I suppose so.
You'd think the police would have tied him up in their own ropes back then.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was the police. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we had these three all talking, and that was the frame story around this whole thing. Yeah. The woodcutter, the priest, and the scavenger represented the husband, the wife, and Tajamaru the
Yes!
bandit. Right?
Yep.
There's these two that are very, very sort of close together somehow, and somehow they're optimists and they're just happy. And you have the scavenger who's always laughing, who's doesn't care who lives or dies, all of that. We had the woodcutter very much tied together with yeah, so I don't know what.
You're doing well, keep going.
Yeah, so the woodcutter seemed to feel for the woman, as did the priest, whereas the scavenger just didn't care at all, the commoner. And when there's a baby at the end, I don't know whether... For me, I've written the conclusion of the film at the bottom with a big question mark. Is the conclusion something like hope can triumph over cynicism? Because we've had the whole film, this dreadful thing that's happened, and whatever way you look at it, was a really horrible crime. And every story we hear gives us some new reason to doubt humanity and feel that everyone's terrible. And that was the commoner's assertion at the end, that everyone's just terrible, just live with it, and he runs off after stealing the baby's cloak. A very sort of bandit-like thing to do. And then finally the priest and the woodcutter, who've both been despairing for mankind, through this one act of kindness, which is saying, I'll take this child, that changed, that made them so happy and really ended the film on a happy note. And I don't know if that was them saying, all of these bad things have happened and these people have even experienced these bad things happening, but they can still choose to do the right thing and help someone else, some future person.
That's nice.
And that was what I got.
Or the baby is the baby of the woman and the bandit, and it's actually not happening 3 days later. It's 9 months later.
Oh.
And all the time, we don't know that it's a non-linear narrative.
Yeah,
So-
maybe.
This is the future. Yeah.
There's not enough. I like it. Sorry, I'm stamping on your cool idea. Yeah, because it could be that.
Yeah.
Leave it with me.
So I'm wondering, in your case, is the husband analogous to the priest? Because
I think so.
we see the woodcutter take the child as a woman would, in a maternal, stereotypical way. And therefore does a priest's restoration of faith in humanity at the end contrast with the man being dead and in this hell where he just hates everyone and he hates his wife and everything's terrible, and he's lost that faith in humanity.
Yeah.
And they're like two sides of the same coin.
I think that's perfect, yeah.
Yes.
And we even see the priest gets the chance. The priest is almost the husband, because when the woodcutter goes to take the baby, the priest says, "What, are you trying to steal the one thing he's got left?" Suspecting the woodcutter with no reason to suspect him or dislike him, except that you distrust people in the world just as the husband distrusted his wife. For whatever reason, having seen her obviously being raped against her will, unless there was this weird act that the husband fell for as well. But whereas the husband, utterly turned against her, the priest opened up his heart and realised it was okay. But are we not left just a little bit with the question of whether this woodcutter stole the knife for his own ends, and maybe he was a bit rotten after all?
I think the point is that he's still good after all, even if he did something that was rotten.
Okay, he's still willing to...
Yeah. Like, even people who do rubbish things can do good things as well.
I like that.
don't think he took the knife.
In which case, he's just a saint, isn't he? There's nothing wrong except lie about
He
a murder he witnessed.
He was so upset through the whole film. He was so obviously feeling guilty about something. I think it can only have been the knife. Just as the woman felt guilty about having been with another man, it was something that we should forgive them for. Forgive is the right word.
It's definitely not in her case.
Something we shouldn't hold against them.
Yeah. So one thing I thought was interesting, this isn't related, but it's just occurred to me as a thought, was that both the husband and the bandit saw her as particularly beautiful when she was with someone else. So the bandit saw her and said, "Oh, she's like an angel. She's the most perfect." And it was when she had gone over to the bandit side that the husband saw how beautiful she looked.
In the husband's story.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think there's that sort of jaded, everyone's got something I want, what I don't have, sort of attitude throughout in those characters.
Isn't that horrible? The time that they see her as in any way good or desirable is when
she belongs to someone else.
Belongs to someone else. Yeah. I really found her character interesting, and I didn't really at all, or at least not much, until the woodcutter's story. She was actually, that's not true. Yeah, she had this. She didn't react how I would expect her to react, or how other characters were reacting to things. She had emotions, but it wasn't clear which emotion she was putting on, and what she was thinking all the time. It was fascinating watching her with her weird eyebrows.
Yeah, I think that says a lot for how we interpret expressions. That with her weird eyebrows, you couldn't tell what she was thinking half the time.
She didn't look surprised.
Well, she just constantly looks surprised.
But then, particularly interesting in her enormous speech, where she, told them both off. It was. I could watch this film again, definitely, and still I could watch it another 10 times and still see new things. I think that there seemed to be a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of layers and stuff. But one thing that I'd want to try and figure out is her character and what she was thinking. Any thoughts? Did you find her interesting to watch?
I did find her interesting to watch. I found her quite interesting the whole way through. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know who she is at all, I suppose.
No, that's it. She's just a lady.
I do not think she was particularly interesting to watch, but I do have certain points, I guess, that relate to some things that you've said about the acting. I thought the acting was more would be more in place in a theater than in a cinema. Maybe because it was just so old. Maybe when people started doing films, they were like, "Oh, maybe I have to act in the same way that I act in theatre."
This is something people talk about with early films, right? That people acted in the way you need to act on stage, which is really big and over the top, so that people at the back of the theatre can see you. Whereas when you've got a camera right here in your face, you can afford to be a lot more subtle. Is that what you meant?
Yes. So the rough fight that the samurai and the bandit had, and I think the woodcutter's version to me was just poor acting.
Okay.
With a shaking sword. I'm nervous.
Yeah. I thought it was way over the top. And I think part of that must be what you're talking about.
And then I really like your interpretation of the hope after...
Hope can triumph over cynicism.
Yes, except when I watched the film, I was like, these are two unrelated things. And a baby that randomly appeared. And then...
It is a weird one, isn't it? This baby's just here. Yeah. It has a. If we're doing more semiotics, it has
plot device, baby.
Well, a baby is new life, isn't it? A baby is a fresh start and the next generation.
Just in the same way that, well, I think that we should think of babies and children as all adults, as in they can take equally, as in the type of decisions that they can make are probably the same as ours, and perhaps an adult can take more complex decisions, but at their age they're also maybe doing their equally complex decisions to them. I think
the babies,
children,
yeah.
So I don't really like thinking of babies as new hope for humanity, because they soon will be a child, and a child is just an adult.
Okay.
Babies just loves the potato one.
They are animated potatoes. They're vulnerable though, and I think how
we're all
react.
vulnerable.
That's true.
Babies are more vulnerable.
Yeah, I think on a scale of 1
to the
baby,
elements and things,
we're like a 10.
Emotionally though, still a baby. Anyway, go on. Sorry, I'm interrupting everyone today.
Good stuff. And they often say a measure of a person is how you behave around someone you have control over or power over. And so maybe that was a device to show us how these people would react in the possession of ultimate power. So where the commoner just nicks the stuff because he can do what he likes because it's a baby.
So what is the measure of the way that you behave in your...
Sort of how you treat someone who works for you or is serving you. Or
yes, but
you
a measure of what?
A measure of your character.
Okay, measure of your character.
Yeah, measure of how good a person you are.
So
it's not like how you treat your superiors or your equals.
But it's how you treat your pets?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And your lumps of potato.
Oh, maybe tell something about me that I do not have any pets.
But would you be nice to them?
Yes.
See?
Well, I would try.
But yeah, maybe that was just their way of like just sort of crystallising that and being like, people do bad things, people do good things, people misinterpret people's actions and think they're stealing the baby's last shawl.
Yeah.
But actually he was just trying to give them a home. So maybe a baby wasn't that insane a device at the end?
I can see that.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Don't know. Trying to make up reasons.
Makes sense as a plot device. Doesn't make sense as a... No. What? That could happen in real life, in the film setting.
They were talking about how people around here get killed all the time, and people, whoever it was, probably just abandoned their children.
That makes sense. I know why I don't trust the woodcutter.
Why?
Right. Because, he's a proven liar. Strike one.
Stole a baby. Strike two.
Okay, so the camera is still following all of the individuals in the story. So, but he's telling the story, so he's still imagining the perspective. So it's a work of imagination. You know, we're not getting him in the woods observing it all happening.
No.
We're still going right back to each person's individual perspective with the camera as it's all playing out and happening.
We're getting his impression of it, aren't we? Or at least what he claims is his impression.
Consistent with the other stories, which were lies. I take as lies, or not true, untruths. Is that they have this imagination of with the they're imagining how other people are reacting to things. You know?
Sorry, come again?
Right. So the every story obviously has the camera movement so that we're getting each person's perspective, because we're still looking at the people opposite them and so on, and the camera's moving around between people's emotions. They're describing all these things that different happened, and the woodcutters is the exact same. I thought I had something there, but yeah.
Yeah, so...
You know, if it was the truth, I think we'd get it from entirely his perspective. But we don't. He's still imagining the other people's.
Yeah. So he's sort of filling in the blanks, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's saying, and I was there, and this guy looked furious, and...
Well, it's getting so much detail that he wouldn't have seen if he was observing from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's right.
We're getting all this detail from the camera, from the visual.
Yes. Yeah, we're getting what he reckons, aren't we? Maybe not what happened.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm. And I reckon that maybe accounts for... Yeah, we don't know quite what this speech was that the woman made, telling them both they were so weak. But I think it can't have been as dramatic as that. But because he was so frightened and so... all of this, he built it up more, and so you're saying when the director shows us the fourth story, if the director was trying to show us this is what really happened, it would have all been from like one shot in the...
Well, something like that.
We'd have had less detail.
Maybe.
But
Maybe
the fact that it showed us stuff that he couldn't possibly know shows us that it was just what he was claiming and may not have been true. Yeah. That's good.
So this, I believe, is what people call the Rashomon effect. The unreliability of witness testimony.
Oh.
Can you elaborate?
No, because I didn't read into it much. But it's basically that, 3-4 different people can see the same thing and I'll tell you a different story. And therefore, witness testimony is useless in a criminal trial.
But may have some limited use if you get 4 different people, because we can try and figure out what they agree on. But certainly you can't take it as true.
Yeah, I think certainly the point in the film wasn't that you would be able to work out the truth. It was that there were 4 different truths. There were 4 different stories about what happened. And that's just what there is now.
Yeah, okay.
And so, we can try and piece together what happened, but we've just got 4 people's stories about what happened. 3 people's stories. One of them was through a medium. So I think that's what it was referring to when I saw it come up in my book, was about this, not being able to reliably interpret things.
Awesome. And that's certainly what we got.
Yeah, and where the woodcutter should have been this independent witness who could just tell us what happened. Yeah, he got caught up in it emotionally, sort of exaggerated parts, added details he couldn't possibly know.
Maybe just as unreliable as the people who were actually involved. Yeah. And maybe he had his own reason to conceal information.
Yeah.
Like he stole the knife.
He didn't steal the knife.
But maybe he didn't.
So the baby stole the knife.
The baby is
the knife.
He took
the baby's the uncut gem. There we go.
Who was the Rashomon?
That was my last question.
Do we know what Rashomon
Don't
means?
know what that means.
No.
Fernando, you're Japanese.
No.
So I have written here there was no dagger in speech marks. And so I've also... I've drawn a mirror plane. I was like, what's that dotted line? So there was no dagger.
Okay.
There was a dagger in every story. And then, at some point, I think the woodcutter says, there was no dagger. He was killed by a sword. Really vehemently.
Oh.
So was that a lie? To cover the fact that he stole the dagger?
Yeah, so
even though everyone else corroborated the dagger.
Oh, so was his the only one where there was no dagger in the whole scene?
Yeah, I think so.
But there was somewhere, wasn't there? He just left it out. Oh, he's so
such a liar.
Dagger. All 3 of them say there was a dagger.
Dagger vanished.
He's had the dagger. Oh, that's great.
I cannot find the meaning of the word Rashomon.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, here we go. It was the big south gate of ancient Kyoto city in the Heian period.
Oh, is that where
Is
they're
that the
hiding?
gate they're standing under?
Yeah, probably.
This collapsed gate.
I see.
Yeah,
That they're
okay.
burning. So apparently, since we're in symbolism, there has been a lot written about the symbolism in this film.
Oh, has there?
Oh no.
And I had a brief look on, like, cheatyourgrades.com or whatever.
Yeah.
Because
Sparkles.
yeah, some kind of spark notesy thing. So the forest is a symbol for mystery and clouded judgment and not being able to see things clearly and stuff. And the gate
Sure.
is disintegrating society.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the commoners tearing it down even more and burning it or something. And there were other things. The woodcutters trying to tend the forest and see the truth or something. I don't know. I like our version of symbolism where it like doesn't
baby's
try
the
to
knife.
make sense. Yeah.
I think
There was
that's-
something about the sun as well. So apparently this is a thing. The director never points the camera directly at the sun. Apparently this is his thing.
Oh.
But at the start of this he does. And apparently that's supposed to be like us looking directly at the sun and having our vision obscured somehow because we've looked directly at the sun.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Baby's a knife.
I'm somewhere with the gate being a sort of collapsing society.
Okay.
It was I wrote it down as the first thing I wrote. What a first shot! This incredible gate, but half collapsed. I just thought, what's happened here? I thought it was going to be a story about war or
Oh, it is a war.
a fire or something. Yeah, well,
It's good versus evil, Michael. It's the biggest war there is.
it couldn't be a better motif. For
We're bringing out all the film terms today.
for what was going on there. Yeah, just immediate start of the film. Look at this enormous gate that's falling, that's crumbling, that's falling to pieces. Brilliant. And the first few minutes were just like, what is this? Where are they? Who are they? What are they talking about? I love how they just gradually built up the information we had access to.
Yeah, I did find it really gripping. Like that introduction with him just muttering to himself. Like, why did this happen? Like, why did what happen?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And they didn't overdo it, though. They could have overdone. Maybe you think they overdid it.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I loved it. Good music, I'm going to say.
It did have good music, I noticed that as well.
But sort of basic music.
I've forgotten what it sounded like now, but at the time
I
I was
thought
like...
some of it
It
sounded
was just
like
building
Middle
up and
Eastern.
building up and building up.
I thought it all was inspired by Ravel's Bolero.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it had these sort of high, lingering notes that built tension.
I thought it was inspired by the Jungle Book. Other way around.
Okay.
Because when they were moving through the forest, it was like, no, like the actual sound.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe, but... Because
Like
it was
the
like...
ruined castle that Louis lives in is the gate, isn't it?
Oh! Oh my
It looks
god,
very different,
yes!
but yeah, it's the same kind of idea. The Jungle Book.
But the music of the Jungle Book is kind of like that...
Yeah, I guess so.
Like you.
Yeah. Yes. You're on it now.
Yeah. So maybe that's what I mean when I say Middle Eastern. It was a bit... There was a lot of like sliding between notes and stuff, but I don't know if that...
I don't know, I thought the Jungle Book music was more sort of haunting, whereas this was more just tension building. Oh, Bolero was a nice comparison.
I
there.
genuinely thought it was it. At some point I was like, am I listening?
Maybe.
When did they write Bolero? Or he, I suppose,
1949.
he did identify as a man, didn't he?
Interesting stuff.
Oh, excellent work. Oh, we sound so cultured.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Sounds fun back away.
The medium was scary,
Yeah, terrifying.
whether you believe her or not.
Her?
Yeah.
Her?
I thought it was a man.
Oh no, it was
a man's
You
voice.
could tell because her eyebrows were drawn on here.
Right.
But it was the man's voice. Yeah, she was
That was
channeling.
part of what
Oh, I
was scary.
see,
It was so clearly not her voice. I did have to think, hang on, is that a man? A couple of times, but no, I think it was. I loved
makes
how
sense.
the wind blew all that stuff around, and then the big speech at the end. It was just her face covered by this veil. Yeah, it gave me a little chill, I have to say. Really good. This is now our second Akira Kurosawa film, the first being Throne of Blood. Did you notice a few old friends?
Oh, were there?
There was a samurai.
There was a samurai, yeah. But there were several repeated actors.
Oh, no, I
Whoa.
don't remember.
I think the most obvious one being Tajimaru, I think, was Macbeth.
What?
The bandit. And again, had this sort of slight insanity to him.
I really enjoyed the insanity. It was a little bit Russell Brand, but it was
I
good.
love Russell Brand.
Yeah, he did a good job. He is also the insane character in Seven Samurai. They were basically all in Seven Samurai. The woodcutter was sort of the main character from Seven Samurai. I'm not sure about the priest, the guy who had captured the bandit. He was one of the Seven Samurai.
Cool.
He seems to have just a bunch of actors that he works with every time.
That's cool.
I think, yeah, most of them were, or at least several of them were in Macbeth as well. Were in Throne of Blood. Yeah, it's a sort of nice seeing them again and being like, the old gang back together. Did we like this one more, or did we like Throne of Blood more? I think,
Hard to say.
Claire, you chose both of them?
No, you chose Throne of
You
Blood.
chose Throne of Blood.
Did I choose Throne of
Yes.
Blood?
Yeah, I think I chose Napoleon Dynamite that round.
This was the very first round.
Alright, I chose Leon then.
Yeah, you chose Leon. Oh, yeah, I guess I did choose Throne of Blood. Oh,
Yes.
anyway.
I
I wanted
you,
to see the Macbeth version. Yeah.
I do have a preference. It is this one. I do like this one better.
Okay. That's cool. Could you say why? I think I did as well.
Because of the concept of truth and how you maybe cannot never know it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
I've lost Throne of Blood like a sieve.
Okay.
I remember it being striking.
Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't particularly enjoy it, I don't think. I'll re-listen to that episode and I'll let you know.
Okay.
Oh, did
That
we
was
record it?
pre-recording, I'm afraid.
That was
our second
pre-recording?
film. The first 4 films we didn't record.
Lost forever then.
Yeah.
Oh, it was before my notebook as well.
Well, what was your first film in your notebook?
Rocky.
Oh, that
And
was
then Scooby-Doo. There's not actually that many in here.
I think I've exhausted my notes for Rashomon.
I just wanted to ask if anyone had seen Atonement as a contemporary comparison to this.
I have with you, of
I
course.
think I have, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen most of it. I don't think I've seen all of it, to be honest.
The Nature of Truth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So there's a lot, and well,
The Rashomon Effect.
yeah. So there's an eyewitness account causes chaos, and there's, just different interpretations of the same scene. But I think we're led to believe in Atonement that we find out the real story. Where I think here it was very much that you were just, it didn't resolve it. And I think that like modern part of me that wants a resolution felt frustrated at the end of this. Whereas in Atonement there's like flashbacks or interviews at the end that tell you what the real story was.
I see.
And I think this is maybe better.
Yeah.
Like it.
But that was all I had.
Cool. Atonement's well worth a watch for anyone who hasn't seen it.
I will then.
I've seen most of it.
I do not even know what it is about.
It's fantastic.
Are we ready? Sorry.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh, a final thumbs up or thumbs down for the film. Thumbs up from Fernando.
One of
Thumbs
each.
up from me.
The one of each, also.
Yeah, but you can go
Well,
down.
you can do
I know.
this.
I was very much down when I started, but it is a well-made film.
Okay, so we've got two half and half, and 2 thumbs up.
I think I'm coming around to it more after talking about it.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It's maybe like it's like maybe 2
it's
o'clock.
offering. I say it was good. It was well crafted.
Up or it's down. They're going to be 2 o'clock. Well crafted. And
2.5 stars.
I'd like to say,
Of 4.
I'd like to say, as I said to Claire the other day, when we were watching it, we were about 10 minutes in, and I said, "Oh, thank God I've missed film club, because when would we ever have watched this?" I loved it, and we took a little break, but I'm glad we're back. We've seen a couple of really interesting films.
I'm also quite happy that we are back.
She's true.
Don't ruin it.